To those who don't know Chris Hani, probably don't know the history of South Africa and probably don't know themselves, because you can't claim you're a South African patriot without knowing Chris Hani. And to those who know, or those who are curious to know, Chris Hani was murdered, was it 9 months before the 1994 elections? As to why he was murdered, I will allow you guys to listen to a clip I'm gonna play of EFF Mr. Floyd Shibambu explain the reason why Chris Hani was murdered before the elections of 1994, and the reason why Chris Hani was not even participating in the CODESA negotiations. Take a listen.
The CODESA negotiations to negotiate for South Africa to have its first inclusive elections where black people were going to vote. Once they had agreed on everything, on the economy, that the economy won't be touched, once they had agreed that the land won't be touched, they still could not announce the election date. Because amongst the white establishment and capitalists, they said there is only one problem. And that problem was called the Chris Hani problem. They said this Chris Hani has not been coming to these negotiations. He's not part of our agreement. And he's very popular amongst young people. He's on the ground. Mandela is very old. What will happen after Mandela? What if this Chris Hani takes over and then he reverses everything? He's a self-proclaimed socialist communist. He's a general secretary of the South African Communist Party. In the recently held Congress of the ANC, for additional members, he had the highest votes. You can see he's popular everywhere. What should happen to Chris Hani? On the 10th of April 1993, Chris Hani was killed by Janusz Walus from Poland. And he was arrested with Clive W. Lewis. So Clive W. Lewis, the court says it's only two people who plotted to kill Chris Hani and then they killed him. It can't be two people. So you see the current Minister of Correctional Services here in South Africa and the Government of National Unity was a personal friend of Clive W. Lewis. The ones who plotted to kill Chris Hani. It's not possible that it's just Clive W. Lewis and Janusz Walus that plotted to kill Chris Hani. He was killed, then the 27th of April was announced as the day after he was killed that we were going to have inclusive elections for everyone else. I was still United Fighters.
So, Chris Hani wasn't participating in the CODESA negotiations. Abu Mandela and them, they were participating, negotiating. But Chris Hani was outside, mobilizing, using the MK military wing of the ANC to mobilize more fighters, to mobilize and mobilize and mobilize, because they had recently came from exile and they came back to South Africa to fight for real and to fight economically and to also fight politically. So he was always the outspoken one. He was always the famous one amongst the people. If you think Mandela was the famous one, then you don't know who was famous, because it was Chris Hani. People wanted Chris Hani to be the president of South Africa. Even my grandfather confirmed that. I asked the old person, he confirmed that Chris Hani was the most popular person. Mandela was just popular because the news was popularizing him. But people didn't know him. Most people didn't even know how he looks like. But Chris Hani, he was the popular figure, like out here. You see, like in South Africa, the popular one in South African politics is Julius Malema. because of the politics he preaches. But the president is Ramaphosa. But the popular leader is Malema. And Malema is himself. And the current president is himself. You understand what I'm saying? So Nelson Mandela was himself. Whatever you're thinking now about Nelson Mandela, think about that, him as an S, and think about Malema as the hated one by the establishment, and refer that to Chris Hani. That time, Chris Hani compared to Malema. That was it back then. So they had to murder him because he was gonna be a problem into their plans, and he was also not part of their plans. So they had to finish him off. Thank you very much.